Hey everyone, and welcome to the Left Hook, where I'm joined by Congressman Khanna. He is a Democratic congressman, progressive, from my home state of California, but more importantly, from the Bay Area. Yes, I was born and raised in the East Bay. And Khanna joins us today on a pretty historic day where California, the most populous state, California, which has the fourth largest economy in the world, California is, I believe, leading the way for Democrats and saying enough is enough. Just a few hours ago, California Democrats voted to back Governor Gavin Newsom's plan to respond to Texas Republicans who have, let's be honest, folks, we can use the word gerrymander, but they have tried to steal five House seats at the command of Donald Trump, who right now is in the nation's capital. And this is exactly what Donald Trump said. I just said this to Roe a couple of minutes ago. Can't make this up. This is the commander in chief. I know more about grass than any human being. Grass has a life. We have a life. And grass has a life. The grass here died about 40 years ago. End quote. That Donald Trump, who has openly attacked mail in voting, who has openly told Republicans he wants more seats, who has openly pardoned violent insurrectionists, who has right now in D.C., right like in California, unleashed the National Guard and the military and massed armed ICE agents to terrorize fellow Americans. But he's perfectly fine with the pedophile Ghislaine Maxwell getting a cushy sweetheart deal, being sent to Texas, and he's perfectly fine with election deniers being released. We have a lot to talk about, folks, but I want to get into the fight. Congressman Khanna, you know, the New York Times just recently reported that the DNC is having trouble with both fundraising and also registration ahead of the 2026 election. Last time we talked, you know that the Democrat as a brand has its lowest favorability rating since 1994. What the base wants, what people want are fighters because Donald Trump's ratings are sinking. They want people to fight back. Well, today, California fought back. For those who don't understand what California did, can you break it down to them in layman's term? What just happened in California?
Absolutely. Well, I think Democrats want fight, and they also want an alternative vision. So I believe we want both. But look, Texas redistricted to eliminate Democratic seats, and this is happening because Donald Trump knows he's going to lose the midterms. He knows he's at 40% approval. He knows he's got to basically gerrymander states. Mid district never happens have any shot of keeping the House. Why does he want to keep the House? Because he knows if he loses the House, he could be impeached. He knows he could be investigated. His game is basically up in terms of having unlimited power. To put in context, if for those who are on the fence that California now is redistricting and to match Texas, let me give you one data point that I think is dispositive. In South Carolina, there was no black congressman from 1895 until 1992. Jim Clyburn, when he was elected in 1992, was elected the same year as Bill Clinton. 1965 is when the 1964 and 65 is when the Voting Rights Act passed, 65. But even after the Voting Rights Act passed, they split the black vote. So in the 70s census, there was no black congressman. 1980 census, no black congressman because they split the black vote. It took a 1982 amendment to the Civil Rights Act and the 1990 lines until we could get a black congressman in 1992, Jim Clyburn. And right now, Donald Trump is trying to eliminate Jim Clyburn. Now, if you want the Democrats to just sit by while they're trying to eliminate black districts, Democratic districts, Hispanic districts, then okay, you can vote against what we're doing in California. But if you believe that the Democrats have to fight against this erosion on civil rights, voting rights, and all the progress that's been made since 65, then we have no choice but to pass this.
And so it passed. The California Democrats at least have passed this. The California Supreme Court said that Gavin Newsom can introduce it. And it seems not only do you have the electoral support of your colleagues, you've seen the poll numbers. I know you do. And Californians and Democrats strongly support not only Gavin Newsom's strong, if you will, trolling of Donald Trump, but also this strong type of agile new measure to fight back against fascism. Because I believe you and I agree that we're not dealing with the old Republican Party of Bob Dole or Mitt Romney. This is a right-wing fascist movement. I'll say it. I don't know if you can, but I believe they're going full-out fascist. This is not normal, folks. To have militarized police terrorize Americans, to have Donald Trump threaten to cancel mail-in voting, to literally tell Republicans to essentially steal seats, folks, because he knows he can't win the House. He reveals to me to be a weak man. These are the actions, Congressman, kind of a weak president. But what we need is now a robust fighter. And the only political option that we have is the Democratic Party. So now we have Gavin Newsom and the California Democrats saying, okay, you did it. Here we are, gauntlet thrown. But California alone can't do it. Your message to those Democrats, because you have gone out in the last couple of months, and I've seen you try to urge Democrats, embrace the progressive message, embrace where the base is, right? Embrace statehood for Palestinians. We'll get to that in a second. But those Democratic governors who are playing double dutch right now, they're like, let's see. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. I don't know. I'm of the opinion Republicans have played their hand. Believe the evidence of your eyes, your ears. They're going to do it no matter what, Congressman. So to those Democrats and those Democratic governors who are still on the fence, your message to them.
They need to do it. I mean, what are they waiting for? Are they waiting for eliminating Jim Clyburn's seat? I mean, this is not going to stop with Texas. The Republicans are trying Florida. They're trying Ohio. They're trying South Carolina. I think people have to understand the gravity of this. This is not okay. Can we just make up 5 seats in Texas? They are trying to win the midterm election by redistricting every Republican seat to get an advantage of 15, 20 seats. We need to make it clear that if we have Democratic majorities, we're going to do everything we can to respond. That's the only option. Now, in California, this goes on the ballot, and I've seen the same polling as you do, but it's going to be a fight because no often wins in California on these ballot initiatives. So I don't want people who are watching this to be complacent. We're going to have to mobilize and get the vote out for November to make sure that this is passes on the ballot.
Um, let's do the numbers. Let's say, because I know I'm going to go out and say Republicans are a full-on authoritarian right-wing movement. Anyone who's expecting them to moderate has betrayed the evidence of their eyes and their ears. I think they're going to go all out. Now, suppose Democrats match them, right? And suppose we go tit for tat when it comes to gerrymandering, or I would say responding to Republicans stealing the House. Can you do the numbers? If you break it down, if Democrats play hardball, can they recapture the House despite Republicans openly cheating?
I think we're going to have to make up a deficit of about 10 seats, and that's assuming that we get California, the 5 competitive seats here. And so that means that it's going to require still political mobilization. Now, the good news is Donald Trump is at 40% approval. I saw a poll today. This polled every Democrat should be putting this on social media if you can. The number of Americans who consider the economy excellent is 2%.
Saw
And
that.
the number of people who consider bad, very bad, or terrible is 76%. These are the worst numbers in modern times, much worse than the numbers were under Biden. So this should be a 30-seat win for the Democrats, but this is so polarized, the electorates, they're so gerrymandered that it's hard. But we should assume we're going to be minus 10 because of the cheating, but we still can prevail.
Diana just in the comments said 40% of Californians voted for Trump. However, some good news, folks. Donald Trump has erased his Latino support. Those
Yeah.
numbers are back to 2016 levels. The young voters, the first-time voters who voted for Donald Trump, they've eroded. Donald Trump actually, Congressman kind of goes to 40%. He's actually at 38% where I've seen. He's 38%. It's the lowest of any president this term since Trump number 1. So there's 2 E's, Congressman Khanna, that I've said are Trump's weaknesses. The economy, which unfortunately is going to get worse under Trump. And the polls have shown he's negative double digits in the economy. The other kryptonite is Epstein. It is the only bipartisan issue I can think of in the past 10 years where 80% of Republicans, 80% of independents, and last poll I checked, 90% of Democrats want the release of the Epstein Files. You're seeing fissures in the Republican movement, right? They want the release of the Epstein Files because they have radicalized their own base with QAnon. You have been one of the voices who've kept at it. And I appreciate I'll full transparency, folks. I'm always transparent. When I heard that Congressman Khanna was going to actually meet with the survivors and do a press conference, I'm like, finally, someone's doing something. Talk to us about your plan to get us the Epstein Files, Epstein documents, and justice for the hundreds of girls who were raped by Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell.
The redistricting fight is a defensive fight. That's a fight we have to do just to stay in the game. Epstein is the first time that we are going on the offense and cracking the MAGA base and standing up for the victims and standing up for people who don't have power in this country. It doesn't require trolling. It doesn't require chest thumping. It is a strategic, honest, integrity built fight that we have bipartisan consensus on. I'm introducing this bill with Thomas Massey. I did it a month and a half ago. The Speaker of the House shut down the Congress. He was so afraid of allowing a vote on Massey and my bill to have a full release of the Epstein files. He thought people would forget about it in August. We have Marjorie Taylor Greene on our bill. We have Lauren Boebert on our bill. We have Tim Burchett on our bill. The oversight chair, Kevin Comer, is saying release all the files. It split the MAGA base. Why? Because Trump promised that he was going to hold rich and powerful people accountable who had co-opted government, and he is betraying that promise. People are basically seeing, well, what force is so powerful in the more powerful than the United States that it can prevent the release of names of people who have raped and abused young girls. That's what this is about. And for people to say, well, there's so many other issues. There's people losing health care. There's people who are being picked off the streets by masked ICE agents. There are people who are being banned from our universities. There's funding that's been cut. Well, why are you obsessed about Epstein? I said, because it goes to trust in government. If we don't have trust in government, we have nothing in a democracy. And the Democrats can be on the side of trust. The Democrats can be on the side of reform. And so we are now having a press conference on the steps of the Capitol. First time ever that these Epstein victims are coming forward, courageous. They're coming, 10 of them, who are going to stand with Massey and me and tell their stories and talk about people who have abused and raped them, powerful men, and why they want the files released. I think it is going to be the biggest moment, it probably in taking on Donald Trump and the lack of transparency since his presidency has started. And I think it's going to force the House of Representatives and Senate to vote for the Epstein file release.
Have you confirmed 10? 10 victims are going to join you?
At least 10, yes.
And what day would that be?
September 3rd, in the morning on Eastern Standard Time at around 10 o'clock. We've had a tremendous amount of content creators are interested. All the networks will be covering it. All the cable news will be covering it. It is a big deal. I mean, many of these victims have not spoken for over a decade. They have not gotten justice wholly apart from Donald Trump. Their stories deserve to be told, and they deserve the national spotlight, putting aside Donald Trump. But the reality is that this lie that Donald Trump has told, this lie is his kryptonite. He's told a lot of lies. I mean, he's told lies about bringing manufacturing back. He's told lies about not cutting Medicaid. I mean, I could go on and on. But this lie is one that his base is not willing to forgive, because it goes to the essence of what story they bought, that our government was corrupt, that the government wasn't working for them, that rich and powerful people had corrupted it, that there were pedophiles that were getting impunity. And Trump said, look, I may not be a great guy. I'm not the perfect character, but I'm going to expose all of this. I may be somewhat corrupt, but I'm going to expose the corruption. And frankly, it's not even the fact of whether he is or isn't in the Epstein file himself. It's the fact that he's not exposing it. And that has been the straw that's broken the camel's back. So, everyone says fight, 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 fight. And this is not just fighting. This is fighting and winning and being effective in actually seeking justice.
Look, last time you came out with me and Danielle, we put you through the grinder. I hope everyone knows who watches me. I try to be fair. I criticize to make people better, but I give praise when they do good. And you can confirm that when I heard you do this, I sent you a text and said, thank you. More of this. I said this even weeks ago. I said this to Democrats. Why can't you just do a press conference with the victims? Keep it in the news. Because threefold. Number one, it's about the victims, the hundreds of girls who to this day have never had justice and accountability. Number two, like you said, it's about transparency and the radicalization of the MAGA base with this horrific lie of QAnon, in which they believe the rest of us are these pedophiles, and they were promised the release of the files, right? So you want to show that actually, no, it's all projection. The people who promoted the files, they're the ones engaged in a cover-up, and they're lying to you. What are they lying about? And then number three, I think it's okay to say strategy. To quote Ken Watanabe from Godzilla, let them fight, divide and conquer. This is smart politics. In the past 10 years, it's the only thing that is the kryptonite for Donald Trump. His base, folks, his base is radicalized. Marjorie Taylor Greene, as Ro Khanna said, isn't letting it go. Massey isn't letting it go. So keep it forefront in the news. And I'm very happy that you have 10 of these victims who will get to tell their story. I think it will be a very, very powerful and very important day. And as this is happening, folks, I want to remind everyone that Donald Trump is perfectly fine with pedophiles, gave a sweetheart deal to Ghislaine Maxwell, who, for no reason whatsoever, we know the reason, quid pro quo, is now in a minimum security camp in Texas. The third thing I want to talk to you about with the limited time that we have is I was out with Brian Tyler Cohen earlier today, and I was with Jess Craven yesterday, and I said that I strongly believe that Israel and Palestine will be a litmus test for Democrats moving forward. Not like the litmus test of the past. Oh, do you support Israel? How much do you support Israel? But instead, are you against occupation? Are you against genocide? Are you against the settlements? Are you against Ben Gvir, Smotrich, and Netanyahu? Are you for Palestinian statehood? And you saw, still within the Democratic Party, you saw just 2 days ago, Catherine Clark, House a whip leader, a minority whip, right? She called it a genocide, and then she walked it back. I'm like, oh, Catherine Clark, you were so close. Pete Buttigieg, she was so close. Master communicator waffled it. Hakeem Jeffries was on television, just embraced Mamdani, couldn't do it. And then you have come all out and said, listen, this has to end. We can no longer sustain this. We need Palestinian statehood. Do you agree with me that this is now a litmus test for the Democratic Party moving forward, and the Democratic establishment has to listen to the base, which is calling a genocide for what it is and saying enough sending arms to Israel if they continue occupying, building settlements, and denying Palestinian statehood?
Yes, it is a litmus test, and it's a litmus test not just because of the massive starvation, man-made starvation in Gaza, not just because of the 60,000 women and children killed. By the way, more women and children, civilians killed in Gaza, 3 times more than killed in Ukraine. Both are horrific, but just to give you a sense of the numbers and the awful humanitarian crisis, it's a litmus test because it goes to what we view America's moral role in the world. Do we believe in the dignity of human beings, regardless of their color, regardless of their race, regardless of their religion? Do we believe in that dignity of human beings in America and outside America? And it says something profound about our moral leadership. So it's not just about Israel or Gaza or Palestine. It's about our conviction. Are you willing to stand up even when APEC or other groups say, well, we're going to spend money against you or we're never going to support you? I mean, I've had Twitter exchanges. I don't call them Twitter wars, Twitter exchanges with APEC. They come at me. I come back with the facts. But here where I think everyone in the Democratic Party, there's room for disagreement, of course, but here's where I think everyone should come to a consensus. First, vote for Sanders' amendments and get on Delia Ramirez's bill. No military weapons to Netanyahu or Israel while they're killing civilians with them. Second,
27. Can I just remind people, it was 26 Democratic senators plus Bernie Sanders, 27. For the first time, a majority of Democratic senators voted for that bill. It didn't
yeah.
pass because of Republicans, but that's a big deal. Sorry, continue.
And that was why Buttigieg got in trouble. He wasn't willing to answer the questions about, would he have voted for Sanders' bill or not? Would he get on Delia Ramirez's bill or not? Just give a clear answer. Yes, yes. Second, I have called for the recognition of a Palestinian state. I have a letter doing that to be side by side with Israel. I didn't even think it was that controversial. It's a 2-state solution. There are people who actually are to my left who disagree with that. It's basically but it's what the 22 Arab states have said. It's what France has said. It's what Britain has said. It's what Canada has said. It's what Australia has said. Get on that letter and don't say, don't waffle. Don't say, well, I'm for a 2-state solution, but I'm not getting on Khanna's letter. It's premature. There are conditions that have to be met. No, get on the letter for a 2-state solution. The Arab states have called for it. France, Canada, Britain have called for it. It's time for the United States to recognize a Palestinian state. And I think that if you're not doing that, what most of the people who want to lead this party are doing is just not talking about it. And they think, candidly, that if they can just be anti-Trump enough, if they can just pick enough fights with Trump on Epstein or whatever else, that's going to be enough. And that people are looking for fighters. That's table stakes. If you're not willing to fight, if you're going to acquiesce with Trump and vote for the Lake and Riley Act, or if you're going to acquiesce with Trump as Schumer did and vote for his budgets, well, you're not at the table. But you may be fighting Trump may get you at the table, but what's going to allow you to be part of the leadership of this party going forward is transformation. It's saying that we are going to have a progressive vision. That means speaking out on the humanitarian crisis of our time and being very clear about Sanders and amendments and supporting it, Ramirez's bill, the recognition of Palestinian state. It means being for Medicare for all. It means being willing to tax billionaires. It means being for free public college. It means for being for a living wage. It means childcare at $10 a day. It means actually putting forth a vision that is going to improve the material lives of the working and middle class, that's not going to have these overseas wars. It means cutting the Pentagon budget from $1 trillion. And I just think that when people say, well, it's enough to be anti-Trump, they're not looking at things like Mamdani and how he won and what's inspiring the base. It was not just that he was anti-Trump. Yes, he was anti-Trump. He went and he stood up against the masked ICE agents and stood up for people's immigrant rights, but he had a constructive, positive vision of what he wanted to do.
It's what he's standing up for. I want to get to that. Only have you for a couple more
Yeah,
minutes,
we can
but
be
someone asked.
yeah, we can be 5 more minutes. Yeah.
All right, great. We'll keep it within five. Someone was asking in the comment section. It's a fair question. Do you take money from AIPAC?
I never have because I don't take PAC or lobbyist money. In the past, there have been, I'm sure, individuals who are affiliated with AIPAC who gave me individual contributions, but they are certainly, I doubt, going to support me now. And if they do, great. I mean, my point is, I will take support from any individual to get to my point. I'm not going to say who, but I had calls from people from AIPAC, serious people who were AIPAC who say, "Bro, I support what you're doing." I mean, that's the irony here. The leadership of AIPAC today is out of touch with even Jewish Americans and former members of AIPAC. I
Yeah.
mean, it's and so, but I have. I mean, you just have to scroll down my Twitter feed to know that I certainly have not shied away from fights with AIPAC.
Here's for any Democrat who's listening, any Democrat who's running for office, just a unsolicited tip. Don't take money from AIPAC moving forward in 2026 or 2020 from the PAC itself. Individuals are individuals, but I guarantee you will help you with the base. Secondly, are you? I don't know the answer to this, so I'm asking you. This is not a gotcha.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
do you refer to what Israel is doing as a genocide?
What I have said is that the ICJ is going to make that determination, and it is horrific. There are a lot of human rights organizations and scholars who have found that. But my focus is stopping it, and I'll let the historians and legal scholars make that determination.
All
That's
right,
basically where
with the
Sanders
three
is.
minutes I have left with you, let me push you gently. I was in
Yes,
conversation with J Street founder Jeremy Ben-Ami. I know
yes.
you know him, and then after
Let's have this
conversation with
conversation actually with you because I wonder why. Let me push you and then you can push me.
yeah.
Why not? The ICJ has said you've got to take every step to stop the war. We have to take every political, legal, and moral step right now to stop Israel from doing what it is. That means the arms is stopping that. That means recognition of Palestinian state. That means calling out the settlements. That all has to be done. Why, if that is the action that is required, why is it not sufficient to say that and to say, let the ICJ process play out and let's recognize what the ICJ ultimately adjudicates and decides?
So I appreciate that the end game is the same, that you want to end the ceasefire and people using the words war crimes and brutality. But the reason why, and I think the reason why I was convinced was I just had Omar Bartov on last week. Omar Bartov is an Israeli-American Jewish scholar, one of the preeminent scholars on the genocide and also on the Holocaust. And Omar Bartov asked him first question, why is it so important to call it a genocide? And he
Yeah.
said, in addition to words mattering, and in addition to, he calls it a genocide, folks. And again, he's Israeli, born in Israel and served in the IDF. He said also it triggers obligations of the United States and the EU because specifically we have signed that convention against genocide. So by calling it for what it is, first and foremost, you name the reality. But number two, also, it gives it to that gravity and gives it that weight where then it puts us especially us as United States of Americans, Congressman Khanna, that, as you know, give Israel billions of dollars, weapons, aid. Without us, Israel cannot occupy, cannot continue the settlements. It triggers that responsibility, both at a moral level and a legal level, to intervene and stop a genocide that we're all seeing with our eyes. So you asked me a question,
Yeah,
that's my response.
my answer to that would be, and that we already have a moral, legal, and political obligation to take all of these actions. The ICJ found that we have to take those actions to stop what's going on. That was their finding, that to prevent a further humanitarian catastrophe. And the case is in front of the ICJ, and something that weighty. I hope they'll adjudicate it within the next year or year and a half. But I am. I understand that there are 4 human rights organizations within Israel itself and legal scholars
Bethlehem.
who have found it. So I don't argue with people who do refer it to that. I just say that, for me, I'm focused on stopping it with all moral, political, legal tools. I don't think you need the determination, and I am also committed to following the ICJ. I'm a person of international law, and whatever they decide and adjudicate, I think will be the final word on it.
The final question I'll give you, and before that, I will gently encourage you, gently push you. I think you'll get there, Congressman Khanna. B'Tselem, Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, Omar Bertov, some of the most respected scholars in genocide, very sober, have come out and said it. And I think we're witnessing a genocide that has radicalized a global population, which, like you said, 61,000 Palestinians have been killed by Israel. That's an undercount. More child amputees in Gaza than any other place on earth. And the United States, especially Donald Trump, you know this, when Reagan picked up the phone and called Lebanon, 82, he saw the horror that was happening. Within 20 minutes, Israel's Prime Minister Begin called them back and said, okay, ceasefire. So I
I
think we
agree.
have the obligation.
I agree with the Menachem Begin example. The only thing I would say to you is that we should not wait on a consensus in this country about what to call it to come to a consensus in this country that we need to
We're in
stop.
agreement. Agreement.
I mean, that I think there is already determination by the ICJ and in the United States enough to say that we shouldn't be having military weapons going to Israel that are being used to kill civilians, that we should be recognizing a Palestinian state, that we need to make it very clear that what they're doing right now in the West Bank, building those settlements
Yes.
to basically make it impossible for a Palestinian state to be connected to Jerusalem is unconscionable. And if we focus on those actions, we have a commonality, and I think that people can. What we're debating is whether politicians today should say that, or whether they should wait till the judicial determination of the ICJ. I'm not saying that that's not consequential, but I think 90% of the debate should be about what we should do.
We agree on that. Whatever it takes to stop and end what I call a genocide, and so does the Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International, what you call war crimes and barbarity and cruelty. We have to end this, and we can end this. My final question to you before I let you go: Zoran Mamdani, he's going to be the next mayor of New York. Can you convince Democratic leadership? Can you convince Senator Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, and Gillibrand, for the love of God, embrace this man? The rest of us are watching how you're railroading this man. It is terrible for the Democratic brand. It is terrible for you. It is terrible for voter mobilization. What will it take to finally say, this is our guy? We might not agree with everything. So be it. This guy is better than Cuomo and Silva and Adams. And you know what? Maybe he's onto something by fighting for the people, the workers, going against the oligarchy and standing up for the American against the 1%. Ro Khanna, final word to you.
He's run an inspiring campaign. For those of my colleagues who haven't met him, I say meet him. He's actually a very charismatic guy. He's a principled person, but he's also just a talented politician. He's a young guy. We should be excited about it. We should be embracing it. And look, I'm out there campaigning. I'm going to campaign for Abigail Spanberger in rural Virginia. So
Yeah,
it's
right. You're
not
close to me.
it's not like my endorsement with Mamdani has scared off the rural Virginians, where she's saying, "Don't have Khanna. Khanna endorsed Mamdani," and I'm going and campaigning for Mikey Sherrill in New Jersey. So this idea that, okay, We want a progressive like Ro Khanna when there's a more centrist candidate to get on board and support them. But then when we have a progressive candidate, somehow that reciprocity doesn't apply. Well, let me tell you something. We've got to build a big tent party. The energy and the core of that, I think, has to be the progressive movement, but it has to be a big tent that has room, obviously, for people like Abigail and Micah Sherrill. But it also needs people like Zoran Mamdani. And if you ignore that, you're not going to win. So many people stayed at home with Kamala Harris in the 2024 election. And not only are you not going to win, you're not going to deserve victory because you're not going to have anything fresh. You're not going to have anything new. And I guess we could try our hands on being the anti-Trump party in 2028 and just saying this thing was a terrible disaster. He destroyed the economy. He destroyed agencies. He picked up people from the streets and deported them. Let's have a return to normalcy and get back. I we can try our hands at it. I don't think it's going to inspire people. It's not going to
Nope.
build a durable majority. I think you have to have a fresh new vision, and that's really the debate in the party. And to me, that's a litmus test too. I mean, people who are in other states and all. Well, I don't have to comment on what's happening in New York. Give me a break. Take a position. One
You're
thing I
talking about
actually,
Elisa Slotkin.
this is
I'll
my
say it. That's
controversial take.
Elisa Slotkin.
Controversial take of the day. I obviously have strong disagreements, deep moral disagreements with Senator Fetterman on Israel, but at least the guy tells you where he stands on things. Like, what is up with half these Democratic politicians who don't tell you whether they vote for the Sanders Amendment or not? Don't tell you if they support my letter or not. Don't tell you if they'd endorse Mamdani or not. At least Cuomo's out there saying, no, I don't want the guy. I mean, the worst of it's like the Dante's levels of hell is the most. The worst parts are for the people who don't take positions. And I think if there's one thing we've learned from Donald Trump, it's take a position. Take a position.
And what Mamdani has shown you, it's not enough, like you said, to be against Donald Trump. You have to fight for something.
Yeah.
What do you stand up for? Who are you fighting for? What are your principles? What are your convictions? And that's why I believe Mamdani, in addition to running this campaign on affordability against the oligarchy, being charismatic, knocking on all doors, not taking any vote for granted, not throwing the most marginalized under the bus, I do think that's the main reason why he's winning, because he's actually fighting for something. And that is the American worker and the regular average American Jose and Jane, who have been beaten down by the 1% and the establishment and the institutions and the oligarchy.
And one more thing, if I could say, is we need also Democratic politicians to come on programs like yours, where last time you were even tougher on some of the issues and I answered them. And today I knew you were going to ask me questions about what I call it and where I am. And people want authenticity. They want you to answer the question. They want to tell you where you are. And they want to then have a sense of folks. And you don't have to agree 100%. You don't have to be a right 100%. But what the Democrats do is we're so afraid. And so we say, okay, well, we're just not going to get on to have a difficult conversation. Before you, I went on Roland Martin and we had a conversation about how I criticized the Democratic Party for not reaching out to the Teamsters on race and class and what it means. And most people don't want to have those conversations. Guess what Donald Trump showed? He said he's having those conversations. And so he's putting in a vision that is not a multiracial democracy and not progressive, but he's making the case. We have to have that same kind of robustness, dialogue, openness, disagreement, conflict on our side, end the staleness. And that's why I think every politician should come on your program and take tough questions. And who cares if you criticize them 20, 30%?
Yeah, that's your check is in the mail, or I'll Venmo you. But I thought it was pretty spirited and always done with the best of intentions. And I do want to give credit to Congressman Khanna. Last time he came out with me and Danielle, and we grilled him, and he took it for 35 minutes. And I'm like, all right, he'll never come back, but he did. So I appreciate it. I appreciate, and I agree with you. The more Democrats do this specifically on these platforms, the more they get raked over a bit for a little bit, 20%, 30%. They have to defend themselves. To get a bit uncomfortable. What happens in the long run, Congressman, as you know, is people are like, you know what? At least he came and answered. You know what? Maybe he shifted. You know what? At least he confronted the people. You know what? We made him think. And that makes you more relatable, more authentic. And it actually shows that, all right, you're listening. You're listening to the base and the people instead of the corporate donors. So I appreciate it. You taking the time. I kept you a bit longer. Please shamelessly promote yourself to all the people who are watching.
Well, I appreciate it. The biggest thing you could do is if you can agree with me on the letter, on the Palestinian letter that we're calling for the official recognition of the Palestinian state. I'm at Ro Khanna. Please ask other members of Congress to take a look at it. We only have 20 so far. I'm hoping to get 50 to 60. And you've got a lot of people here. You have a large voice. This is the time to do it. It's not just symbolic. They're trying to, in Netanyahu, Smotrich, and Ben Gvir are trying to erase the Palestinian people and a
Yes.
Palestinian state. This is the time we have to do it. And so that would be the biggest thing. That's going to be that, and the Epstein Files are my two big focuses over the next month. And your help in amplifying that message would be great. And of course, when we have the September 3rd press conferences, if people can tune in.
Absolutely. End Israel's genocide. Stop it. America has the responsibility and the means. And also September 3rd, again, bipartisan, Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie bringing at least 10 Epstein survivors who are going to be speaking out. That'll be huge, very important, and hopefully a step towards accountability and justice. Congressman Khanna, thanks so much. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.
Take care.
Thank you.
Always fun.
Take care.
Folks, we're going to stick around for a little bit. Thanks all for watching. I appreciate it. Look, I try to be fair. I ask, I think, fair questions. I criticize when we have to criticize. I push when we have to push. I give praise when we have to give praise. I meant what I said. He had given me his phone number, and when I found out, I think it was like a week or 2 weeks ago, that he was going to bring the survivors to the Capitol, I said, well done. Make more people do this, because I've been saying it for weeks. Why aren't Democrats actually? It's just good politics, right? Bring these survivors out, like do the press conferences, right? Like put a microphone in their face, get the story out there, right? First and foremost for the victims, but secondly, just thinking as a storyteller, this is how human emotions work, right? Like when people actually see these girls, see these women, you see the pain, the tears. When you see Virginia Giuffre's family, Virginia Giuffre's brother crying, like how the hell could the Trump administration transfer Virginia Ghislaine Maxwell, a friggin' pedophile, right? It keeps it in the news, but also makes you remember that these are real victims. Like this is not a game. This is not a joke. Why the hell did the Trump administration, who friggin' changed her sex offender status, that allowed Ghislaine Maxwell, who raped girls with Jeffrey Epstein, folks? She didn't just stalk them and groom them. Virginia Giuffre and the Farmer sister said that along with Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell abused them, right? They said in some respects she was even worse than Epstein because they trusted her. How the hell is she in Texas in a minimum security camp? And according to the great reporting of Allison Gill, another ally and friend of the Left Hook, has now been cleared. She's been cleared for work release. Now, she hasn't applied for it, but her status has been devoted to the point where she's cleared for work release, all right? And also, the reason why, we have to keep pushing people, even like I kept pushing Roe. Thought I respectfully pushed him. I think it's important to call it a genocide, what's happening in Israel. I talked to Omer Bertov. I strongly recommend people go check out that interview. It was just from a couple of days ago. Omer Bertov, like I said, is Israeli Jewish American scholar, one of the most preeminent scholars on Holocaust studies and genocide studies at Brown University. Came out with an article in the New York Times, I think last month, where he said, I've been following genocide my whole life. This is a genocide. It's a 35-minute conversation. He makes a very sober case for not only why what Israel is doing right now in Gaza, what we've seen with our own eyes for the past 22 months is a genocide, but why it's so important to name it, to call it a genocide. And folks, without the United States, and I know some Democrats are watching, without the Biden administration and the Trump administration, both administrations are complicit. Without the Biden administration and Trump administration complicity, Netanyahu and Israel would not have been able to kill 61,000 Palestinians and engage in a genocide. That's a fact. So as an American citizen, I feel that my taxpayer dollars going to fund the occupation, the settlements, and this genocide, I feel I have a moral obligation. And I feel like the United States and the EU, since we give our money under our own laws, we have to stop sending funds to those nation states and that are using our funds and our military to engage in a genocide, in war crimes. So I think that's why it's important. But he was a good back and forth with Roe. I think there was a good back and forth. I think he'll get there. I think he'll have to get there. As he said, it's a litmus test. I think in a couple of months, it'll be a litmus test whether or not you're going to call it a genocide. And I try to be fair. His final point, whether it's called war crimes, genocide. But at the very least, you agree that Israel has to stop and we have to use our powers to stop Israel. Fine, so be it. I'm not going to get hung up on it to stop from the greater good, which is to stop Israel's genocide and occupation. And also, Roe, along with other Democrats, is calling for Palestinian statehood. So it's good to keep pushing people like Roe, to keep pushing people like Democrats. And also, you're seeing, like I've said earlier today, if you saw some of my conversation, you're seeing a civil war within the Democratic Party, and Roe pretty much alluded to it, right? Um, uh, um, are you all with me? Okay, here we go. This is, the fact that you're hearing Roe, AOC, and a few others kind of like call them out. He was talking about Elisa Slotkin. I named it. He didn't. Kind of saying, "Yo, Democrats, like, why are you not embracing Mamdani?" He's talking about Schumer and others. When you see AOC saying, "Hey, we keep trying," meaning we, Democratic Socialists, the progressives, young people, keep trying to work with the establishment keeps pushing away. You're seeing there's a wide open lane, and that lane, folks, who's going to take it? Who's going to fight back? Who's going to take out Donald Trump by the knees? Who's going to be bold and come up with some type of inventive strategies, such as what Gavin Newsom's doing? Who's going to say enough is enough with AIPAC and Benjamin Netanyahu? Who has the winning? The narrative is so easy. Storytelling, good guy, bad guy, obstacle. The majority want to have an affordable life in America, but they can't because of the greed and the corruption of the 1%. The 99% versus the 1%, the majority versus the oligarchy. Fight the oligarchy. Go against the 1%. Make America affordable again, right? It's right there in front of you. But in order to latch onto it, you have to give up the teat of corporate money. So will they take it? I don't know. Mamdani is showing you it works. Friggin' Mamdani, 33 years old, brown skin, Muslim man, born in Africa, right? Literally says, "All right, let's take on the 1%. No billionaires. Where are you going to visit?" Everyone said, "Israel, Israel, Israel." He goes, "Nowhere. I'm going to be the mayor of New York." And guess what? Has the majority of young Jewish voters. They love him. He has the entire cross section: black voters, young voters, Muslim voters, Jewish voters. You think Democrats might learn? But no. So I see Roe and others getting more and more progressive, meeting the base where it is. Our job is to keep pushing them. If I had a little bit more time, folks, I would have asked you for your questions. But what I like about Roe is, last time he came on, we really grilled him, me and Danielle. And he sat there and took it. He took it like a champ. He texted me afterwards, said, "Well, I thought we were only going to talk about three things, but okay." But he sat there and he came back. So anyone who's watching, uh, Democrats, you want to come back? Look, uh, uh, Mallory McMorrow used to talk to me. We used to engage in conversation. She came on, and then as soon as she announced running for Senate, nothing. Her team reached out to me, or someone from her team reached out to me to promote her book. I said, "I know Mallory. I know she's running for Senate. Come back." Just radio silence. And so, which is fine, Mallory, I like you, but I think they're playing it so safe. Oh, if you go on Waj's show, he might be a little too progressive. He might ask questions about Israel and Palestine. He might ask questions about the oligarchy. He might ask questions about immigrants. Good, good. You need to have answers. You need to have answers. And I will say, giving Roe credit at the end, town halls, man. If you get raked and you get grilled by your own base, but you sit there and take it in good faith and you answer, this is what happens. That same base that raked you will go home and say, "You know what? At least that person showed up. At least that person listened." And then they'll wait to see whether or not you pivot. And then politics, man, this is the United States of amnesia. People forget real quick. I'll give you Gavin Newsom. All right. Look at Gavin Newsom. Was a fighter. And then he decided to throw the progressives and the woke under the bus, saw his ratings go down and decided, "You know what? F it. I'm going to go all in." And is now fighting on social media and is leading this path to respond to the redistricting. Folks, his poll numbers have gone up. Huge, a huge turnaround. So what I always tell folks is politicians to me, if you ever see me talking about politicians or interview politicians, I want everyone to know here. I will never run for office. Thank you, Poetic Pisces. No way. That's not for me. My wife should run, though. I always said my wife should run. My wife is a brilliant doctor. And I think more healthcare professionals and teachers should run. And I think more workers should run. Like just frigging average Jose's and Janes. People say, who am I? I'm nobody. We're all nobodies. If Donald Trump can be president, why not a person who actually knows what it's like to put food on the table? A person who actually knows about buying groceries. A person knows that you don't need your license plate to go vote. Donald Trump said that. They asked me for my license plate to vote. I'm like, I think you meant your driver's license. You're an idiot. But no, I'm not running for office. I also think even all these people saying Jon Stewart should run. No, come on, no. We should have workers, people who are like, we should have some doctors and teachers run. That's just me. I can see Waj as a rep. Jules, stop it. But exactly, Rhonda, agree or not with Newsom, he's getting a ton of exposure and views using Trump's playbook. So what I was saying was politicians, this is what I say, folks. I never bend the knee to any politician. I was never enamored by Obama. It was huge that Obama, as a black man, as a biracial man with a Muslim father, was the president of the United States. It meant a lot to the rest of us, right? And especially the fact that he and others helped, restore this country in some respect after the disaster of George W. Bush. But he always operated as a center-left politician. I knew he would always operate as a center-left politician. This is not to say I didn't criticize him, but all these people who were so shattered by Obama, who made him this etch-a-sketch president, thinking he would be the great redeemer. I'm like, he's just a politician, right? Don't make politicians into heroes. Don't make them into celebrities. Don't worship politicians. Don't worship Mamdani. Don't worship AOC. Don't worship Donald Trump, right? A politician to me is a tool for the people, a servant for the people. My job is to sharpen that tool and to make sure that tool is the best tool to help advance the people, and that tool can be used as a weapon against fascism, right? If that tool is dull and blunt and it can't be sharpened, that tool must be retired and replaced by another tool. That's my take with politicians. So whichever politician can be useful, I'm going to use them and advance them. If they can be sharpened, you sharpen them. And if I feel, this is my opinion, they're like Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, they cannot be sharpened, they cannot be adapted, they cannot evolve, then they got to get culled. And I said Schumer and Jeffries. I blame both. I think both are not made for this moment. They're not built for this fight. 900 people joined us, folks. I know some people joined us late with my interview with Khanna. I thought it was a good interview. I think you all should who joined in late. We talked about three major topics: California's plan to fight back against Trump and fascism, Israel, Palestine, why I thought it was important to name it a genocide, even though Roe's not there yet, but why Roe says we have to use our voice and our votes to stop funding and arming Israel that is committing war crimes, and why Palestinians need statehood. Why the Democratic establishment needs to evolve and adapt and embrace Mamdani instead of rejecting him, and also the Epstein Files, why we have to be on it and release the Epstein Files. It is a bipartisan issue that a majority of Americans are following. It has the support of Democrats, Independents, and Republicans. And what Ro Khanna is doing with Thomas Massie is on September 3rd, he said that he's joined by at least 10 survivors, 10 Epstein survivors in the Capitol Hill. And they're going to share their stories. And folks, I've been saying this for weeks. I've been saying, Democrats, just have a press conference, and he's doing it. So, folks, this is the Left Hook. I'm independent. I don't bend the knee. I don't bend the knee to nobody. I say what I say without fear or favor. Everything is free. What service will it be aired on? Someone asked on my Substack. Give me a change, champion. Give me an hour. I'll post it on my Substack on my YouTube. I also put this on YouTube, folks. I'm at YouTube with Jatali. I apparently had this YouTube channel for like forever, and then now I have 30,000 subscribers. I've done nothing on it. But if you like YouTube and you have friends who have YouTube and you don't want to use Substack, I put it all on YouTube. Everything is for free. I don't believe in paywalls. I'm independent. I've kept it super cheap, $5. If you have a few bucks, I have like 800 kids. I got to feed like at least four of them. So if you can pay, great. I'm not a fool. I'm just a terrible capitalist. I just want people to be informed because I think we need an informed citizenry to combat fascism. This is a fascist movement. MAGA is a fascist movement. Donald Trump is an aspiring fascist. Words matter, folks. And Donald Trump is, like Rose said, he's at 40. He's actually at 38. He's hemorrhaging voters. He's weak on the economy. His strong suit used to be immigration. He's -5 on that. He's weak on Epstein. So he's ramping up the fascism. This is a sign of a weak man, not a strong man. But it's terrible for our democracy. And we need all the people at every single lever that can be pulled. The boycotts, city council, strikes, marches, mockery, Mockery works. Thank you, South Park. To be unleashed right now to preserve and not just restore our democracy, but to reform our democracy. We're not interested in restoration, folks. That's done. Reformation. What are you fighting for? Who are you fighting for? And hopefully it's for the people. Um, Thank you all for joining. This has been The Left Hook. For those who joined in late, I'll have this conversation up in an hour on The Left Hook with transcripts, and I'll also have it up on YouTube. Folks, I'll be back tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, with my co-host, Daniel Moody, for Democracy-ish. And at 1 p.m., I have Matt Gertz. She's Jody Surrey. That was a burp. That was a chai burp. Forgive me. I have Matt Gertz from Media Matters talking about how Fox and the right wing is freaking out over their lives and freaking out over Gavin Newsom. And then on the weekend, I record a fantastic conversation with Heidi Beirich. I strongly recommend people listening to it. Heidi Beirich, who used to be the executive director of Southern Poverty Law Center's intelligence report, literally tracking all these hate movements, extremist movements. I've known her for like 10 years. And now she's started the Center of against the Global Center Against Hate and Extremism, and she literally just takes you, connects all the dots. What is white nationalism? Why is it the number one domestic terror threat? How it has been mainstreamed by the GOP and the right wing, and how they have infiltrated Donald Trump's administration, folks. So I strongly recommend listening to that. I'll have it up on Saturday. All right, folks, take care, be kind, be good to each other, and please, oh, please don't be a fascist.